Okay, honestly, I'm getting very, very annoyed. I don't know who designed or who these overlord people are, who clearly think they know what's best for us. And they are doing things that I know in a scientific vacuum sounds really cool. I'm the nerd. I'm the geek. I find some of these things intellectually fascinating. However, that's in an isolated test tube. But when you put it out there into real practice, you have to recognize there's more to life than just your microscopic view of things, except whoever this group of overlords is has got a freaking hard on with this mRNA technology, and it's getting out of hand, right? I mean, we've learned this with the vaccines. And and that has been a destruction of humanity. And now there's a group they're called Tyranna Bio. This is a company, this Tyranny Bio people are RNA modifying crops. That way, they don't have to claim these crops as being genetically modified. You get it? So it's all about marketing. And what I find this, and they call it crop protection. I love that. That's fun. Let's go to science class real quick. There's DNA, and this is you. This is life, and it's you. And this is what identifies you as a human being and as a male or female human being. It's all in your DNA. All the proteins that you currently code for, all of the every now and then proteins that you would code for, like if you're injured or if you're exposed to something or if you're pregnant or whatever the case may be. Like there are genes that get turned on, that get turned off, all controlled by the DNA. Now, how does the DNA do that? You can't go straight from DNA to a protein. There's an intermediary. That intermediary is called RNA. It's slightly different than DNA. It's a temporary thing. It tends to biodegrade pretty quickly, but it is the translator between DNA, which is very stable, to protein, which is the final product. We in science use RNA as a means to artificially get a protein where one just cannot be produced. We use this in human beings who have genetic disorders where they are sick because they cannot make a particular protein that's required for life. You can genetically modify that human being by introducing RNA into their bodies so they can make this protein. Over time, this RNA can get reverse transcribed into DNA. Believe it or not, there's an enzyme that will turn RNA into DNA. Now, this is why RNA vaccines are not actually vaccines. They do not stimulate direct immune response in order for you to become immune. They generate proteins, which generate an antibody response, which temporarily may or may not protect you. And that is not a vaccine, that is gene therapy and an antibiotic or an antibody therapy. And so during the COVID situation, people who got mRNA vaccines had the exact same protection as people who got actual convalescent serum antibodies. Last for about 3 months. Those antibodies go away. And guess what? You're more prone to getting COVID. So COVID didn't prevent anybody from getting COVID. That vaccine actually only lowered your immune response because it kind of got ramped up and confused. And so people who've had the COVID vaccine now suffer with long COVID because they're perpetually making spike protein, long COVID, people who are perpetually making spike protein, and your body is suffering the consequences of that. Now, we know this. This is now known. We've done the experiment to billions of people. We know this. So why, pray tell, are we now trying to spray RNA onto crops to quote unquote biofortify these crops? This is back to the biofortification concept. Oh, we can make a crop more heat resistant. We can have it be resistant against insects, or we can have it resistance against weed by adding RNA. This is what they're not telling you. And it sounds cool. And it sounds like, oh, that's cool. You just kind of crop dust on there instead of chemicals, you spray the RNA on there. Well, it's a big deal. There's no big deal, right? Except there's a very important caveat that there's the concept of microRNAs. So long RNA breaks down into tiny little snippets of RNA. The long RNA is very short lasting. It's very sensitive to temperature. Well, there's something called microRNA, super duper stable, as it turns out. In fact, you can even boil it and it's still there. And what is fascinating is that these microRNAs actually interact with you, human, and your body. And they interact with the microbiome in your body. And so your response to your food, in part, is due to the interaction of the microRNAs in the plant substances that you're consuming. Even if they're cooked, you cannot get rid of this microRNA. So, and I bring that up because there are some human diseases, allergies, food responses that are occurring not because of the substance of the food, but because of the RNA present in that food affects either you or your own microbiome to the positive or to the negative. It can go either way. What's happening when we're spraying these crops with RNA? Like they don't even know. None of this news do I recognize. Oh, it's novel. That's cool. I didn't see a single paper published by this group. What the long-term implications? Are they generating any micro RNA as a result of this process? Does any of this RNA intercalate into the human being or into our microbiome? And the reason that's important is because any of you guys, and I know I'm going long because I'm getting semi-fired up about this, but if any of you either exposed to COVID or had a COVID vaccine are experiencing any kind of total body inflammation, your belly's just not kind of right, your digestive hasn't been the same ever since, do yourself a favor, do a microbiome test. Look for the organism Bifidobacterium. People who have been exposed to COVID, people who have taken a COVID vaccine, have very low or no bifidobacterium, and this bacteria is critical to human life. It is the first bacteria that shows up in your microbiome. It's supposed to be there in pretty high numbers to maintain balance, and it is becoming shockingly and alarmingly absent in modern life in the last 5 or 6 years. To the point where 1 in 4 babies no longer have this bifidobacterium. People with long COVID do not have this bifidobacterium. And this just in, companies that use the tyranny bio method do not have to list this as a chemical, and therefore organic crops can easily be sprayed with this stuff and maintain organic label. I think it's going to be a big problem.